All right, welcome to the 10th video. Not to scare you at all, but we're probably just halfway through, I hope. Okay, so we just got this animator set trigger to died, so we need to play the died one, right? So if the trigger, we've got to play died. So let's go back to Unity here. Hopefully I saved that. Did I save that there? Just a second. Saved. Okay, good. So then if we go back here, we want to get the mummy animator. So we've got our animator here, or on the mummy. There it is. Now what we wanted to do is, it doesn't have to be in walk, it doesn't have to be in attack. It could be in any state and it could die, right? In midst of the attack, we could kill it. So we want to just sort of make sure that it plays this death animation from any state. And so we need to go find the death animation, which I think should be under our packages, our Infinity, and our Infinity PBR, I think. Let's just keep going here. And models. And under here, I believe. Yes, okay. So there is our death animation. And if you had a little play there, he just sort of falls back. And it's actually perfect, right, for getting shot. Good. And so I will take the death one and pop it into here. Good. And we'll do a transition. And actually, we need to make sure that we've got a parameter here. And I think that would be the trigger. And we did died. And just make sure that that's spelled correctly. And so we'll do a transition, make a transition to death. And we'll go to death to any state. And just click on this thing I think we need. There we go. And list empty. And so under conditions, died. Right. So I think that's what we need. I don't think we need exit time. I think that's all we need there. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so we're just shooting. We still don't have a trigger on this. Boom. Perfect. So we don't have another mummy spawning here, but he died. The one thing that we should probably do is once he gets hit, we don't probably want him sitting there forever. I mean, I guess that's a possibility, but it would probably be better to have sort of a die on that. So we'll just go back to the script here. And once we get here, so we got it to, oh, there we are. So we got it to died, we played the animation, and then we'll just set the destroy, right? And what? Well, we'll destroy itself, the game object. And again, this number here, up to you. I'm going to put it for 5 seconds. And so that way, once he's played that die animation, it should make him disappear. So let's just see here. And so hits, there he dies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then he's gone. Good. Perfect. So what we'll do next is get the player to actually aim towards our mouse. So we're going to use our mouse here to sort of allow our, I guess, our player to aim at the oncoming zombies, because at the moment he's just sort of shooting forward. So what we'll have to do is a bit of code here. One thing we'll do is a layer mask, and that will allow us to just sort of, when we're clicking, basically it will just sort of click on the ground rather than on anything else that might be in our game. So let's first go in and back into our code, and we want to be into our player this time because we're going to change our player. There we go. Player weapon, player movement, I think we want here. Yeah, no, actually player weapon, because that's going to do our firing. So first off, let's put a new field in here, serialize field, and this one will be a layer mask. So I will just call it, it will be the type layer mask, and we will call it an aim layer mask. And this, like I said, just prevents us from, clicking on the wrong thing, kind of. Now, when we come down to here, okay, so there we have our fire here, right, ready to fire. We are going to put in another little thing, which is going to be sort of our aim here. So I'm going to call, well, we're going to do this every frame, toward mouse. We're going to create this little function here. Now, aim towards mouse, we got to create that. So I'm just going to come down below, void aim towards mouse. And I don't think we need to pass anything into it. I think we're good. Now we're going to use this. This might get a little tricky here. We're going to use raycasting. So basically, the raycast is going to determine where we've clicked in the world, kind of thing, based on where the camera is, and then we'll figure out where the player is, and then we can sort of figure out the direction so that we can sort of turn towards it. So we're going to create this ray here. So it's going to be a ray, and we'll call it ray. And like I said, we're going to, from the camera, and this will be the main camera, so dot main, screen point to ray, and then our input on that, so where it's going to figure it out, is our mouse position. Whoops, lowercase mouse position. So wherever our mouse is, it's sort of taking that basically that position there. And then if, so we got an if here, if the physics.raycast, and so this, if this is true, so if the ray, and again, the raycasting is a little bit difficult, and maybe we'll sort of spend a bit more time looking at how this works. Hit info. So just sort of copy this down for the moment. Mathf, whoops, infinity. This lets us go sort of all the way through, and then we've got our mask, and so that's going to be our aim layer mask. Okay, so like I said, I don't want to get into too much here, but basically it's going to, if it's sort of hitting the ground, basically, okay, what is it going to do? Well, we're going to set a variable, and it's going to call the destination, and destination, there we go, and it will be, so we're going to take that hit info dot point, so it's going to be wherever we've sort of our mouse is, basically, and then we're going to keep, though, that destination.y. We're always going to keep the y to whatever the player is here, so transform.position.y. We don't want it to be up or down because we don't want to shoot it at an angle here. So that one we're going to sort of override. So even though it's hitting maybe the ground, above or below, whatever the case is, it's always going to be at the player's position on the y. So now we've got sort of where we're going. So we're going to create a vector 3 here, and that's going to be our direction. And this direction is going to be the difference between the destination, so where our mouse is pointing towards, basically, or mouse position, minus the transform dot position of the player. Okay, so that will get us so that we know which way to face, basically. We're going to, like I said, direction.normalize, just get rid of any positive and minuses there. And then the last thing, pretty well last thing, I think we've got a couple little things. Transform.rotation. We're going to set that to a quaternion. And again, don't worry too much about this. Look rotation. I think we're almost there. And all we need is that the look rotation, the direction, right? We need to, where is it going to look? So in that direction that we created. And I don't think we need this, but we'll just put it in vector3.up just to keep it in the right orientation. So I think that's all we need. So no errors, no issues. I'm going to save this up. Now back into Unity, it's not going to work right away because we don't have a layer mask. Okay, so if we go back and look on the player, the layer mask is nothing. You can see that there's sort of everything and so on. We want to actually add a layer mask. So let's just do that first. We can go to terrain, I think. Layer. I think we can add a layer here. So we will call the, what did I want to call it? Well, it doesn't matter. We'll just call it terrain, I guess. Not sure if that's the best one, but anyways, as long as it's got a name for it. Okay, I think we're okay. And then I'm going to go back to player, and then mask is, oh, again, sorry, I didn't fix that up. So this is going to be terrain, but I need to make sure I label terrain as well. Terrain, there we go. So I think that's good. So I've got this labeled as terrain, tag terrain, or not tag, but layer labeled as terrain. And then I think on the player here, I've got that. So let's just see now if this actually works. So he's still shooting all over the place, but now you can see as I move the mouse around, or if he's moving relative to the mouse, okay, he's firing in the right direction. Now, obviously, he's still firing. Where he's firing from is still the center of his body, so we should probably fix that up as well. And like I said, fix up the continuous firing. Now, to get it to fire from where we want, which would be the tip of the gun, I'm just going to zoom in. Well, I guess we should be on the scene, I guess. Zoom in on his gun. And because the gun is broken into components, we probably don't have to add like an empty. So oftentimes I would add it like a transform.empty, like a transform empty, and then make that the end of the gun or whatever. But we've got a bunch of things like right at the tip here that we could use. So whatever you click on that's pretty close, I mean, that's right at the edge of the gun, we're going to use that as the spot. And I can even go in here, just change the name of this, and a fire point or something like that. Okay, so fire point. And that's just going to be our transform dot, or like our position basically, for us to be able to access. So now that I know that that's the fire point, I'm going to go back into my script. See if I can do this here. And I'm going to create a spot up here. So we're on our weapon, and I'm going to make another serialized field. Serialized field, and it's going to be a transform. Transform, and I'm just going to call it fire point. Okay, and so then that's good. And then down here, where does it fire it from? So then we have to change our location. So I think here, transform.position. I think we can just change this to fire point. Let's take a look. Oh, try firepoint.position. There we go. Okay, so I think that should be good. Let's take a look. Back to Unity. And so really what we're doing is just making sure, so I'm going to hit play here, that it's firing outside the gun. I don't know why we're all suddenly zoomed. Oh, I moved this in. Oh, well. Let's just see. Oh, yes, we've got an error. We doesn't know where the fire point is. So making sure. Oh, and the other thing I should do too is just override everything here, right? Apply all. So that's good. The one thing that I didn't do here was I didn't put that fire point in there. So actually I need to drag that in. Okay, and then I can do the override, I guess. That's better to apply all. Okay, so that's what I forgot to do. There. So now, I mean, it's a little big, I think, but the nice thing is he's firing from the point there. Okay, now we might be firing too, and obviously we're sort of like auto fire, so that's kind of just a little bit strange. Oh, one interesting. Well, yeah, we'll have to fix that. One interesting is if they hit each other, they're actually destroying each other. So that's another little thing. But yeah, I think we're pretty good there. There's a little bit with the mummy animation we have to fix up there, but again, big progress. That's the end of video 10. We'll see you in video 11.